Greetings, fellow detectives. Wizard Kitten here, bringing you a new Nancy Drew analysis video. Today's video is brought to you by the patrons over at Mystique Manor and by all the official fellow detective channel members. If you too would like to support the channel and gain access to exclusive features, check out patreon.com/wizardkitten to become a patron, or click join next to the subscribe button to become an official fellow detective. Since HerInteractive officially revealed the name of Nancy Drew's 34th mystery game to be Mystery of the Seven Keys on May 26, 2023, they've started releasing mini videos every few weeks showcasing gameplay and UI features in a series called Packing for Prague. I haven't done a video on these little videos because it felt difficult to do an entire video just talking about a magnifying glass, for example. But they have now released so many more snippets than I expected, and so I think it's time to talk about them. Basically, each of these videos appears to showcase a gameplay or UI element that will be included in Mystery of the Seven Keys. Most, if not all of these elements were huge staples in previous Nancy Drew games, but were conspicuously missing in Midnight in Salem or were extremely limited. Because of this, these videos seem to have a pretty clear message. We heard you, we get it, we're bringing back basically all of the elements that gave the Nancy Drew games character and made them fun. Almost all of these videos show flashes of the new gameplay element in previous games before revealing what it will look like in Mystery of the Seven Keys, and I just have to say, thank you. These videos make it clear that the developers were listening to fans when we said what was lacking in Midnight in Salem. Instead of stripping away all of the things that made the Nancy Drew games special, they appear to be adding them back in, and I am thrilled. I still have no idea if Mystery of the Seven Keys will be a good game, because so much of that comes down to writing, balance, puzzles, and character interactions, but I am just glad that these little gameplay elements are making a return. So, let's discuss. On June 7, 2023, HerInteractive released their first video in the Packing for Prague series entitled Learn Czech. The video shows us the phrases for greetings, thank you, and St. Vitus in Czech, with their English transitions. Voiceovers also say the phrases in Czech so that we can hear them properly pronounced. In the background, we see some already revealed screenshots of characters and the environments. The music that plays is new, which means it's either promotional or could be part of the soundtrack. At this point, I'm pretty sure that it is part of the soundtrack. Now, this isn't necessarily a gameplay element per se, but I do think it's nice to include as a sort of prepare for your trip kind of video. Nancy has solved multiple international mysteries at this point, and the languages of the countries that she has visited have always played a role in the case. I would expect nothing less from a case in Prague, and I'm glad that the Czech language will be included as an educational feature. I'm curious to see how it's used in the game, but otherwise there's not that much to say about this reveal. Next in the series, on June 21, 2023, we received a Packing for Prague video showcasing a camera feature. This video starts by showing Nancy zooming in on the exterior of a building, presumably one of those in the courtyard that has already been revealed. When she takes a picture, a hand appears holding a physical printed version of the image. This happens again when Nancy takes a picture of some NPCs sitting on a fountain in the same courtyard. But then when the physical version of this picture appears, we get a little sticky note that says postcard. This is interesting because it seems to imply that Nancy can take pictures with her camera, print them off, and then either save or send them as postcards. That could be a pretty neat and fun feature. I will say, though, that the actual in-game pictures taken with the camera and the postcard images are incredibly different from one another. The postcard is highly detailed and has immaculate lighting, while the in-game location appears to be much more flat. I don't know if that means anything for how the game will eventually look, but I think it could. I have been extremely skeptical about the in-game graphics experience matching the concept art that we have been shown so far, and these camera and postcard images seem to confirm some of my suspicions, but we'll see. The video continues in the same format by taking a picture of the interior of a hallway that likely leads to the cafe and tech store areas, and a detailed view of the cathedral that has already been revealed to us. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, because this has nothing to do with the camera, we also learn that Nancy is bringing a bobby pin to Prague. Okay, sounds good. The video shows Nancy using the bobby pin to pick a lock that unlocks rather aggressively before we are reminded to follow for more updates. The music in the background of this video is the same as the last one, presumably a track that will be used in the game. Nancy hasn't used a camera in every single Nancy Drew game, but it was a pretty regular feature, especially once she got a more updated cell phone. The first time she used a camera was in Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake to take pictures for Red Knot, and then periodically in later mysteries like in Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon or Danger by Design. In these cases, the camera was essentially limited to solving a puzzle or completing a task. Other than that, the camera usually ended up being a supplemental feature that was useful for remembering things for puzzles later on, or just for funsies. I'm curious what purpose the camera will have in Mystery of the Seven Keys, and if the postcards are just for fun. I'm okay if they are, I just can't really see a point for them otherwise. Next in the Packing for Prague series, on June 27, 2023, we learned that Nancy is bringing her magnifying glass to Prague. The video highlights Nancy's magnifying glass on several of her books and then points it out as a prominent feature in all of her previous cases. We see how the magnifying glass has evolved, and finally how it will look in Mystery of the Seven Keys. There's also a brief flash of magnifying glass latte art, and I have to say that I will be very pleased if this is how the latte art puzzle looks in-game, and not like the Windows Paint monstrosity that we saw revealed in a previous video. I have two big thoughts about the magnifying glass, the first of which is that I am so glad that they're bringing it back. They recognized in this video how iconic the magnifying glass has been for Nancy's character, and not having it as a prominent feature in Midnight in Salem kind of felt like a slap in the face. I'm so glad they realized that fans want Nancy to be Nancy. The character, the charm, and the little elements make a huge difference. But, and this is my second thought, does it bother anyone else that the magnifying glass is facing the opposite direction? In literally every previous Nancy Drew game, the magnifying glass was held as though it was in the right hand, and now, suddenly Nancy is a lefty? I can't unsee it, and it irrationally bothers me. I think I'll get over it because I'm just glad that we have one, but I cannot be the only one who noticed. Anywho, next in the Packing for Prague series, on July 18th, 2023, we get a journal reveal. The majority of this video is showing concept images, including two possible versions of the journal. We see a page dedicated to Czech vocabulary words in the journal, and different tabs on the journal. There's also a cheeky page that shows a work-in-progress Easter egg, which is another element that fans really enjoyed and that I'm so pleased to see returning. Hopefully this means that there is actually a legitimate Easter egg in the game. We are shown additional concept tabs, and a concept page for suspects that has 5 slots, including Radek, who we met in a previous reveal video. However, all of the other characters that we have met are not revealed on this suspect page, which I am hoping means that we still have 4 more suspects to meet that haven't yet been teased. Otherwise, why wouldn't they put some of the other characters who we already know are in the game? I do also hope that there are some characters that haven't yet been revealed because I want this game to retain some mystery before I actually play it. At the end of this video are 2 things that I didn't fully understand, which led me to Hugh Miller's channel, Nancy Drew Walkthroughs, to check out his video on this reveal to see if he had any thoughts that could help me out. Hugh's video is linked in the description of this video. So the meme at the end of this video is fan-made, and the blurring out is simply because it has nothing to do with the video. The video mentions Hans and has a German flag in the background before playing an audio clip that likely belongs to this mysterious Hans. Apparently, if we decode his secret message and find the keys, then something will happen, but I do not know what, and Hugh didn't seem to have thoughts on this either. All we know is that fan theories about Hans are not quite right, but I guess that's all we know for now. Some additional thoughts on the journal. In this frame here, we see inventory items having to do with coffee. I don't know if this means that the inventory will also be part of the journal, or that certain items require description in the journal, but they're there. Additionally, there are some Sunny June details in the journal, which could potentially mean some Sunny June cookies in the game. Lastly, and this is where I'm really confused, the placeholder text on these journal pages are in Latin. And when you put them into Google Translate, you get some pretty wild outputs. Now, I do not fully trust Google Translate, but this phrase that is used repeatedly next to these icons apparently translates to, "The company itself is a pain in the beep." What? That can't be right, can it? Is Google Translate faulty? Are they making a joke? Is this some sort of meta fourth wall thing where the writers are calling out for help? I have no clue. If any of you actually know Latin, please clarify in the comments what this actually says. The Easter egg page in Google Translate similarly has a wild output. I'm going to paraphrase it, but feel free to put the whole thing into Google Translate to see what I mean. Regardless, the Easter egg page seems to say that we never run away from pleasure, but it's dangerous to follow pleasure without reason. Similarly, no one wants to pursue pain and people don't seek it out, but because we don't, we rarely receive the great pleasure that comes from labor and pain. Again, is this nonsense? Are these writers calling out for help? I have no clue, but I found this kind of hilarious. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Last thought on the journal, this is actually the update that I am most excited for that we have seen thus far. Having a journal is a really useful way to organize thoughts, assist with puzzles, and feel a part of the game. Nancy's journal has easily been the most underwhelming and unsuccessful UI component for me in all of her previous cases. It typically was just a long list of notes that Nancy could scroll through, but there weren't any images, and scrolling through all of Nancy's random thoughts to get to the information that you wanted was pretty tedious. This is the area that has the most potential for improvement, and having played several games made on Unity now, there is a lot of potential for some really cool journal features that fill in images, notes, clues, and so on as the game progresses. I have really high hopes for this journal, especially because it's probably the only thing that I've seen so far that could actually be a major improvement from the OG 32 games. Fingers crossed. Finally, the latest video in the Packing for Prague series posted on July 25th, 2023 and revealed a map feature. The video starts by showing just how prominent maps have been in Nancy's previous games, and then slowing down on what looks like a Google Maps phone-style map icon. We then see a bird's eye view of the map for Mystery of the Seven Keys, which shows a stylized floor plan with 8 yellow squares. When the mouse hovers over the squares, blurred out descriptions appear on the sides, which apparently means that they don't want us to see those yet. We then see an even more blurred out map that has 4 additional yellow squares. I like the idea of a map, and I think it'll be helpful, and I appreciate that we'll have at least 12 locations to explore, though I hope that these locations are really in-depth in terms of exploration. Based on what we've seen so far, I don't think they will be, but I can hope. And those are all of the gameplay updates that we've seen so far. Hugh also mentioned in his video that with the journal icons specifically, we could be getting a new user interface more similar to the Renaissance-era Nancy Drew games, with icons at the bottom that then open up whatever item we plan to use, like the journal or the camera. Based on the view of the icons in the journal video, I could definitely see this being the case, and I would 100% be on board for a new UI because the Midnight in Salem UI was trash. For my final thoughts, I will say this. I am glad that we are getting some new gameplay and UI elements that appear to honor Nancy Drew as a character and her legacy from previous games. This tells me that fans have been heard, at least to a certain extent, and that some of the charm and character will be reintroduced to the series. That being said, just because we have a magnifying glass doesn't mean that Mystery of the Seven Keys will be a stellar game. We still know absolutely nothing about the story, the mystery, the character interaction, the exploration, and the balance, amongst all the elements, which are truly the things that make for a good mystery game. If those things do not land, then the game still will not impress me, even if it looks better and plays more smoothly. Don't get me wrong, those things are important, and they might even contribute to this game being better than Midnight in Salem. But that is not a high bar, and I still have a lot of expectations when it comes to a good mystery story. Also, we still need a release date. I've seen so many fellow detectives commenting on these posts, "Hey, this update is great and all, but when on earth is this game even coming out?" I would also still like to know. That is really the crucial information that we're still missing, and hopefully we'll get it soon. But what do you think, fellow detectives? How do you feel about the Czech language, the camera, the magnifying glass, the journal, and the map? How are you feeling about Mystery of the Seven Keys so far? Let a Wizard Kitten know in the comment section down below. If you really enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button or tipping me for the video with a super thanks next to the download button right beneath the video. If you would like to come join a fantastic group of fellow detectives at Mystique Manor as a patron for the channel, gain access to exclusive content, and support the making of more content like this, please check out patreon.com/wizardkitten. I also have channel memberships with exclusive badges and emojis to use during streams and in the comment section. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming an official fellow detective, click join next to the subscribe button. Please feel free to follow the channel on Instagram or Discord, linked in the description box down below. And as always, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Nancy Drew and Sims 4 content. Thank you so much for watching, fellow detectives. I will see you soon.